Have you been working on your 2021 goals and feeling like some of them are just not progressing the way that you want to? I'm Amy Walker, and today we are going to be talking about 5 reasons why we miss our goals and also 5 things that you can do to achieve your goals. And also, if you have been following the channel, I am midway through my office remodel. So the seafoam green color that I always hated is gone, and we're halfway through shiplapping the fireplace. So let me just show you. Well, we're almost through. We have one piece at the top that we can't quite get to fit in yet. And then we have to paint all the trim and the fireplace and everything. And then we'll hang stuff up and we'll be done. So this is actually one of my points for one of the reasons why we miss goals. And so I thought, well, I could like shove everything around and try to make it look a little bit better than it is, or I could film in a different location, or I can just say, hey, this is one of the reasons why we miss our goals. So let's talk about reason number 1, perfect lead-in, is perfectionism. So here's the deal with perfectionism. It is productivity without courage. It is you being willing to get in there and work, but not being willing to let people see the work in progress. And the reality is in our businesses that we are all a work in progress at all times. There is never a time when it's like, oh no, I got this. I got it all figured out. I got it all together, and it's perfect. So my first tip for you is, if you have been missing your goals, look at where perfectionism is showing up for you. Is it stopping you from achieving the things that you want to? Is it stopping you from going after big things? I feel like perfectionism keeps you in this place of possibility, where like you see the possibility of what you could have, but it's such a lie, because the reality is in perfectionism, you can never achieve that possibility that you want. There's no possible way to get to the end line without being a messy middle. There's always a messy middle. And one of the things that I will tell you is that you have to go through the messy middle, because that's what teaches you the parts that aren't working. Every time one of my clients launches a new campaign or a new strategy, there's both wins and fails within it. And so we'll look at it, but here's the difference. The first time we put it together, it's all possibility, it's all hope, it's all like, oh, this might totally work and we'll hit the nail right on the head. But it's also a hypothesis. It's totally an educated guess. We don't know. Are people going to love the copy? Or are they going to hate the copy? Are they going to click the link? Or are they not going to click the link? Once we launch it and we get it out there, that's where we actually have some data to show us what we can do next. So I have a client who this month is launching a 5-day or 7-day clean eating challenge. So if any of you, need to start eating clean, I can tell you where to go. But she's launching her clean eating challenge. And when we were talking about the beginning of the month, she really was behind schedule in terms of not having things done. And so my advice was, push it back. Let's get things done. Let's have all the pieces in place. But then the next week she had gotten caught up, because she pushed back a week. She'd gotten caught up and she was like, okay, but it's really like, it's not as good as it could be. So maybe I should push it back again. And my answer was no, we need to launch. We don't want to launch without the right pieces in place to be able to convert, right? Because that would be like driving a halfway built car. But, no car brand hits the ultimate version with all the best features in their first attempt. There has to be a prototype. And so we don't want to launch like missing an engine or missing tires or something that's critical. But as soon as we have the critical components in place, like the basic building blocks, we got to get it out there. We have to start putting it in front of people. We have to let them see us in our imperfected state in order to be able to make progress. So that is number 1. Stop with perfectionism. And on the flip side, be willing to launch. As long as you have the critical components in place, be willing to launch and just test and see how it goes. Do people like it? Do they resonate with it? We don't even know. So that's my first tip for you. All right, second tip for you is the reason why people miss their goals is because they set the wrong goals. So maybe the goals were vague. And I always tell my clients that clear intentions creates clear results, and vague intentions creates vague results. But a lot of times we set vague goals. I remember one year setting a goal for my marriage, and it was like, I want us to have a passionate, fulfilling, highly connected relationship, which is great. But what does that actually mean? How do I know if I'm achieving it? When's the goal? Like what are the benchmarks that we can set within there? And so after a few months of feeling like, I don't even know if I'm making progress on this, then I shifted and I thought, well, what would that look like? Well, it would look like going on dates and spending more time together each evening. It would look like having deeper conversations. It would look like us being diligent with our couples prayer and scripture study. And so then I went in and I set more specific goals within that of how we could measure and track and see if we're making progress. All right, the next thing that we do with the wrong goals is we set too many. So that year was also a really good example of, I went from really vague goals to having a lot of really specific goals. And when you have a lot of goals, it sets you up for feeling like a failure because you can't do all of them at once. And so I've been reading the book, The One Thing, and I love this idea. There's a lot of good stuff in the book, but I love this idea that you can find one thing to focus in on, and it will be like the first domino that falls that then moves all of the other ones. And so for me, in that year, we had to pick one thing that we were going to really focus on, and it was for us date nights that year. And from there, I started to notice all of those other things started to fall into place and come into play. So don't set too many goals. Also in your business, you guys, you can't pursue so many things at once. So I have a lot of goals for this year. I know my financial goal. I have goals for my team. I have goals for, things that I want to grow. Like I've got goals for YouTube. I've got goals for, I just joined Clubhouse. I've got goals for my Facebook group. I got a lot of goals, but I can't pursue everything with equal intention all the time. And so I'm really thinking each month, okay, what is my one thing that I can accomplish and focus on this month that's going to start that flow of dominoes and be able to really move everything through? The other thing that I will tell you that I see often is people set unrealistic goals, that they want a goal here, but they want to do work here. And my recommendation is pull them down and meet somewhere in the middle. You have to be willing to put in the work that it will take in order to get the result. I was talking with a potential lead one time, and she came to me and she said, I want to build a six-figure business. And I want to be able to sell it for $1 million within 2 years. And I am only willing to put in 4 hours of work because I really love the book, The 4-Hour Work Week. And I was like, okay, I am not your girl. Like I am really clearly not your girl because I don't know how to do that. Like I don't know how to build a six-figure business only working 4 hours a week. I get the idea of building up a team and building up systems and infrastructure so that you can only work 4 hours a week, but I don't know how to launch from that. And selling your company that you want to do 100,000 in sales this year and selling it for $1 million the next year got me. Like, I don't know how to do that. And as we started talking, you could tell she was realizing like, oh, my goal is up here, but my willingness to work is up here. And she didn't necessarily like the advice that I gave her, I don't think. And so she did not end up a client. It was definitely not a fit for me because it's not how I work. But I've seen this, not so dramatically, but I've seen this happen often where it's like, I want this, but I'm willing to put in this. Well, you need to adjust somewhere in the middle. Maybe you move your desire down a little bit and you move your willingness to work up a little bit, and then you stair step from there. But I find that when willingness to work matches desire, that is where you get the most bang for your buck. On the other side, I've seen people work really hard but want very little, and that's out of balance too. So we got to keep those in sync. All right, so that is strategy number 2. Reason why we don't reach our goals is we set the wrong ones, and we need to just set better goals. So less of them, more clear, more specific, make sure we're willing to work for what we actually want. All right, reason number 3 is pace, and it is that we sprint and we don't marathon. So I have a mantra that I say to myself whenever I feel myself getting frantic and feeling like, there's so much to do and it all has to be done right now. I tell myself, I'm in business for the marathon, not the sprint. My goals are not made or broken in a day, a week, a month, or even a year. It's by my consistent effort that I create my dreams. So I tell that to myself. I tell it to my clients. It's really true. We need to have pacing. So if we are pushing so hard that it exhausts us and it wears us out and it's not sustainable, we will miss our goals because we created an unsustainable pace. I recommend that you get micro goals. So you take the big goal, like I have a big goal this year for how much I want to do in revenue, and then I have to break that down into micro steps and things that I can do to support the big goal and figure out, again, what's that one most important thing. And then I pace myself. Scheduling downtime is so important to your progress. On Monday morning, I hope this isn't getting too long, but on Monday morning, I totally had a meltdown. My husband took me out to breakfast, and on the way home, I'm like crying, you know, like I'm failing at everything. This is never going to work. We have so many problems, you know, and he's like, are you sure you're not just tired because you had no downtime this morning? And I was like, no, there are so many problems. I don't know how to fix anyone. He's like, why don't you rest? And I was like, I don't have time to rest. And as I'm talking it out, I'm realizing, okay, this is ridiculous. So I came home, I took a power nap, I woke up and I was like, oh no, yeah, I was just tired. Like I feel good, you know, but I had worked on the room remodel over the weekend. I had meetings for a nonprofit community service event that I'm working on. And I was busy over the weekend. I had zero downtime. And so you have to, for productivity to stay high and for you to achieve your goals, you have to give yourself time to rest. Otherwise you end up that girl who's crying over her, omelet because she thinks she's failing at everything in life when really she just needs a nap, guys. Like give her a nap. That's what she needs. She wants one. All right, so pace is number 3. Number 4 is trying to do it all alone. This is a big one. We feel like, oh no, I should be able to do this. I can Google it. I can figure it out. But here's the reality. I do not buy the story. Whenever people tell me I know what to do, I just need to do it, I'm like, bull crappy schkavitz. I don't buy that. I do not buy that story because here's what I know to be true. If you knew everything you needed to know about how to keep yourself motivated, moving, and accountable, you would already be doing it. So obviously there's a gap in there. We don't know what we need to know in order to be at this level. We know what we need to know in order to be at the level that we're at. And we know some things that can move us forward, but this idea of being able to do it alone is just false. There's 3 types of accountability and service and support that you need in achieving your goals. Number 1 is you need team. So you need people who are working with you to build it. Number 2 is you need consultation. You need somebody who has done it before that can show you the parts you don't know. And number 3 is you need that just accountability partner, somebody who maybe is a peer, maybe just that person that's gonna be like, so did you hit your goals today? How was your productivity? Did you get up on time? You know, like that type of support. It's almost like you're babysitting each other, but that's so valuable. And you really do need all 3. So the failure is we think we're going to do it alone. That's why we miss. And what you need to do in order to adjust that is get those 3 types of support in place. All right, let's talk about the last one really quick. The last one is tracking, and I am going to screen share with you right here. And this one, there we go. So this is a goal tracker that I created a couple of years ago for my clients because I noticed a lot of them were good. They were good at getting the goal started, but then they would get lost in the weeds along the way and they would get confused and they would struggle on figuring out what's the highest priority. So this first starts out with a brainstorming worksheet. And this is something, you guys, that we are making available for free this month to anybody who wants it because it's January and we all have goals. So what you do is you just come in and you brainstorm and you say, okay, goal number 1, sell $1 million this year. And you come over and say, well, what category is that? That's a business goal. And then I always do priorities last. So another thing is get the sales team fully productive and efficient. And that's also a business goal. And then you say, okay, and go on weekly dates with hubs, not bus, with hubs. And so then you go and you say, okay, that's a relationship goal. And then you say, okay, I want to publish my fiction trilogy. And that is a personal goal. And so we just go through and we figure this out. Then we go through and we rate the priorities. Is a priority 1, 2, 3, or 4. Then we take the priority 1 goals and we put them into our tabs. So like, for example, if the yearly goal is 1 million in sales, then the quarterly benchmarks, we break those down. That's 250K per quarter. The monthly goal is 833.33. Or you can do what I'm doing. You can start with a scaling version where you start at a rate that matches more where you've been, and then you create increases each month until you get there. You can go through and write down, what's your budget to accomplish this goal. You can mark the status of it, like this is in progress, or maybe it's not started yet. And then you can write the health too. If it's behind, it will show up as red. If it's on track, it will show up as green. And so you just go through each of your goals, and you can keep a visual record of how you're progressing and break them down from monthly goals into weekly action steps, so that each month you have got enough activity going on that you're paying attention and seeing how you're tracking these goals. And you can use this for all of your goals. You could do this for relationships. You could do it for personal. You could do it for health and fitness. This is just a really good tool to help you be able to track those goals. So again, if you want it, I'm happy to drop that link in the comments. And thanks for joining me in my work in progress, informal conversation with you all today. If this has been helpful, I would love for you to do 3 things. I'm going to be greedy today. I'm going to ask for 3 things. So number 1, subscribe to the channel. Number 2, download the tracker. And then number 3, come and join us in our private Facebook group, Acquire. It's a great place to be able to ask questions, even like we'll do sometimes workshops and live trainings and things like that, just to help you really progress in your business. So I'd love to see you over there. Again, that link is down below as well. And let me hear from you in the comments. I guess I'm now asking for 4 things, so that's okay. But what are your goals this year that you're working on? And have you run into any stumbling blocks yet? If you are, welcome to the Human Nature Club. But if you'll follow these tips, I know you can get past it. And that's everything for today, you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks.